Welcome to the Savvy Radio Show with your host, Savvy Landlord. Up next is the best deal ever on Fridays. Check out all episodes on SavvyRadioShow.com.
All right, savvy investors out there, today is Friday, fabulous Friday, best deal ever, I guess, whatever. But it is a best deal for me, I think, one of my top ones. I don't mean to keep bringing down the best deals Van Kallenberg style, but I got no friends right now. So I do have my homie in the studio in the background, Keith. He is a real estate investor. He's got 3 cribs because he's going to be on the best deal show pretty soon. Say hi.
Hi.
He's in the background. So we're just kicking it today, looking at deals. But this is a long-winded deal. So be patient with me on this one. This is a roller coaster ride, and it's a little bit secondhand. I am the end buyer on this one, and how it got to me is just pretty remarkable. So this is from a wholesaler. The wholesaler friend got this property, knew that this house was vacant. So the wholesaler got the address, drove over there, saw it was overgrown, and mailed out a letter, could not get a hold of anyone at the property. So most weak people just stop there. Oh no. This wholesaler, I'm telling you right now, went above and beyond to get this deal done. And I didn't even know. But let me just set the record. It is a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, brick, money maker, just cherry on top. It is, I call this a bulletproof house. It's on a slab. The ARV is $90,000. So let me give you a little caveat here. This is a sight unseen crib. So this wholesaler found the deal, chased the deal down, was overgrown, went over to the neighbors, started talking to the neighbors, found out that there was a lady that lived in there, and she passed away a year ago, and she was a hoarder, and that she had one son. So there was an heir involved. So she got the person's name from because the title of the property was in another name, in the mom's name, but in the son's name was in a different name. And he was one of the only heir. And so I thought this was really cool. So most people kind of stop there. They go to the county, they send out some letters. They don't get no response. They move on down. Well, this wholesaler knew that this was a cherry on top and just continued to drive. So she went onto a website. It's a female wholesaler, and went to Entellus.com and researched the person's name and sent 10 letters. It was a very generic name, and sent 10 letters, called every phone number that they can get a hold of. No avail. Then found out that the lady that was in there was married, and she was divorced, and she quit claimed the house to the husband during the process of the transactions. So it was in her name. So she went back and chased down the ex-husband. So found out, again, sent letters. He had a generic name, and finally left a message on some random phone message in Idaho. Yes, Idaho. I got a homie in Idaho. I think his name is Rock. Anyway, so in Idaho, left a message. The man called her and said, yes, my wife did pass away, your ex-wife, and yes, it was willed to my son, but there was no probate done on the property. And so the son finally found out, drove all the way down to Oklahoma and found some paperwork. Now the son, he was 42 years old. Hey, that's my age, 42 years old, and he was kind of a partier is what the dad said. The dad said that he would work and then go party. He was like he would be 42 years old at his job, but he lived like a 16-year-old. I'm like, well, I do that in my mind already. But anyway, he was, I don't know if it was narcotics, recreation stuff. I really don't know, but he was a truck driver, the son, and he traveled the country, and he was extremely difficult to get a hold of, and he was sketchy, if you want to say it an easier way. So this wholesaler got a hold of the sketchy guy who was oblivious that, it was just some ghetto cheap house, he thought, in Oklahoma. Actually, it was a very beautiful house. And so the wholesaler said, hey, you need to do something about this house. And he's like, I have no money. I can't do probate and do all that stuff. So she convinced the guy to come drive all the way down from Idaho to visit. And this wholesaler never saw the house inside either, but worked a relationship with the individual that got the home, and come to find out that he was broke, barely made it down here. And when he went to the house, he went through all the paperwork and found insurance docs that he has an inheritance. And all of a sudden he was a little motivated. So they struck up a deal, the wholesaler and this partier / 16-year-old / 42-year-old, that they would venture and get an attorney involved. So they got an attorney involved to do work pro se for free, only at the closing of the deal. So they signed a deal, locked the contract up, contingent on hiring a probate attorney on top of that. And okay, so to get the probate attorney and to do the thing, and so the guy disappears. And then the wholesaler hires an attorney, convinces the attorney that she's a real estate guru / the best wholesaler in Oklahoma City. This attorney goes, hey, I'll do the probate. I want to get paid. So gets the probate done. The guy disappears again. He goes back home. He's paycheck to paycheck. So the wholesaler is like, got this deal rolling and can't get a hold of the son. So she calls the dad and convinces the dad that there's liens on the house now. There's behind on taxes, and if he does not get the probate to go through, he won't get his $165,000 death insurance benefit. So the guy's motivated, comes back down. And so now the wholesaler calls me up and says, hey, I got this deal. I was like, I'm in. I drive over there. I go, what do you want for it? This wholesaler, gangster, I got it locked up for $25,000 on a $90,000 house. I'll buy it. I was like, I'm in. What do you want? And the wholesaler was cool. She's like, I just want $5,000 plus you got to pay for the attorney. Okay, I'll lock this deal up. I never went inside the house. And I know this is like I've done this twice in my life, and I was getting kind of nervous. And so the 2 months roll by. I, do a contract, an assignment contract. I'm all giddy. I'm like, I'm going to get this $90,000 house for 35 plus, I don't know what the hell's inside, what's wrong with it, but something's inside. I'm going to figure it out. And she's a hoarder, don't forget. So I got all this clean out, which I'm in the middle of doing right now. And so again, this partier guy has no money. We've already enlisted an attorney to do the probate, and this guy has money coming to him, $165,000 in an account. So we convinced this guy to come back down again from Idaho. This time he comes down, yeah, I want to sell the house. And so we get the title work done. It's at the title company. I fund the deal. The guy's in town. He says, I'm going to be there on Friday at 4:00. I'm like, man, I can't believe this is going to happen. I run over there at 2:00. I fund the deal. 3:00 shows up. 4:00 shows up. 5:00. The guy never shows up. For 2 weeks, we can't get a hold of this. Oh, I almost cursed on the radio. But, you can't do that deal. So I was frustrated. The title company, I funded it. I pulled out this line of credit, got this deal done, and we cannot get a hold of this guy. He literally disappeared. When we finally, through his dad, through this thing, he took the other $165,000 because the probate was finished, contingent on the sale of his real estate, disappeared and partied like a rock star. Probably bought a new truck. And I'm like, this is terrible. So Monday rolls around. The title company calls me, hey, come pick up your money. And I'm like, no, he's going to be back on Monday. We'll come to find out that he got stung from a bee and he wanted to go home to see his doctor for medication. Right. You ever heard of a clinic, homie? But he drove 12 hours to Idaho to go to the doctor. 2 weeks clicked by, no response. It's just, next thing you know, the title company's calling me. I was like, I almost forgot about the deal. The guy, we get wind that he calls the title company that he's coming in today on a Monday, 2 weeks later. I'm like, I don't believe it. This title company is outrageous, amazing, and held this title work, held the gap check, the HUD, and the dude shows up to closing, signs the docs, and brings me 2 keys. I wasn't even there because I didn't believe it. So on Monday at 4:00, the title company goes, hey, the guy's here to close the deal. All right, I don't believe it. And during that whole process, the attorney was pissed off and put a lien on the house because that attorney didn't get paid for the probate. So the title company was super duper cool. She's like, look, I know there's a lien on it. If you can get we's funded now. So out of that closing, I paid the attorney, the probate, got the keys, and the joker asked now this is all through phone. The title company's calling me, and the title company says, hey, here's the keys. I couldn't believe it. But he asked if he can have another day of ridding the house of stuff. I'm like, absolutely. It's a hoarder house for real. I'm talking up to ceiling. Please take all you want to take. And again, I've never seen inside the crib this whole time. I bought this house sight unseen. I'm telling you, I would, if I was coaching you today, I would say no. But I was like, the risk, I'm like, a $90,000 house. I'll have 35 in closing. What's the worst thing can happen? 10,000. I know I can rent this bad boy out for $1,000 a month. I was like, man, I can do this. I could do it. And I was peeing my pants the whole time. So everything's cool. I get the key the Tuesday morning. I run down there, and it is a hoarder house. But there was a $500 saw in there. I was like, oh, score. I got a little flat screen 19-inch monitor that I sold at the landlord lunch. I got a little pellet gun that I sold for $10. I found some silver dollars. I found all kinds of crazy stuff. So my whole team is over there picking through this stuff. Everything's going great. During that time when I was picking through stuff, the city inspector cruised on by and blasted me, said, you got to paint that shed, you got to cut that tree, you got to fix it. I was like, hey, I just closed on it today. They backed up off me. I was like, hey, they know. They said they've been drilling, putting tons of liens on this house for over a year. Of course, out of that $25,000 contracted price, paid all those liens. I don't even know what the guy net. I should go back and look at the HUD. I just couldn't believe that this was actually going to happen. And so everything's cool. I'm like, this is a deal. I run over there with a lockbox. I'm thinking, no big deal. The guy's back to Idaho. Then I get a call Thursday morning. The lawn care guy shows up at the office to get paid. He's like, hey, man, I don't know about you, but I just cut the grass out there, did some tree trimming, and there was a U-Haul out front loading stuff in. I said, oh, no, you can't do that. So my staff, we assemble again. We do own a U-Haul, but it wasn't that U-Haul. We assembled and drove up there and said, sir, we're about to call the police. This is trespassing. He had his whole U-Haul full of stuff. And we said, that's our stuff. We closed on Monday. And he tried to get smart with my worker and said, well, you need to take it out of the U-Haul. We said, we're going to call the police. You need to take it out of the U-Haul. So he unloaded the whole U-Haul and went back to Idaho. So is that the best deal? I don't know, but it is a monster deal. And here's the takeaway. Patience, relationships. You've got to love on people. Here's a little tip for you. The title company did a big solid for me. I mean, they didn't have to hold it. They were frustrated. They got laws and stuff they got to deal with their company policy about holding money for a certain length of time. 2 weeks went by. It was in their escrow. Was it ever going to fund? Is this guy copacetic? Is this really going to happen? You got to get Amazon Prime, but I love this title lady. I sent her a gift through Amazon. So 2 of them. And then I loved on the attorney. I was like, hey, I appreciate, your patience. And so it's about relationships. It's about due diligence of sorts. I didn't do any, but I just jumped on it. And anyway, inside the house was actually being partially remodeled. All the supplies, brand new Pago floor and boxes. I mean, you could have returned that jazz to Home Depot. And, I think that through this experience that don't give up on the first no. Don't give up on, you don't know how to get a hold of the guy. The guy had a last name of Carter. All right. There's movies named Carter. You know how hard it would be to find Carter? But this wholesaler needs an award, a trophy. She got it done. Amazing orchestration. And, it's a relationship. That wholesaler, knew how much it was worth, but didn't have a chance to go inside the house. And, it's the risks that you take as a real estate investor. Anyway, I can go on and on about this deal. It was amazing. It may be one of my best deals, but it has been fun. But the most important thing, all this work is to provide assets so you can take care of yourself, so you can bless somebody else. So this is Friday, Fabulous Friday. Hopefully you got a smile on your face. It is a crazy, wild story out there. Hopefully you have a story. Hopefully you went and bought an asset this week, because I would love to hear about it. And I would love to have you on the radio show. Keith here live, heard about the show. He's a supporter, and I'm a supporter of him. And I'm a supporter of people that take care of themselves, that go out and buy assets and bless people. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook, and always be buying assets.